Hello?
Jessica.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Mary?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's loud.
Recording is started. Okay, wonderful. Okay, and hopefully we'll connect with Jess in a few minutes. Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. This is an online virtual meeting. Let's kick things off. If everybody could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's start with roll call, and I'm going to start hopefully in a room that we will be meeting with at some time in the future, but where Mary Lopresti would be seated. So we'll start with Mary.
Okay. Mary Lopresti.
Pete Sabras. John Kerwin.
Brett
Dave
Ulbrey.
Sauter? Sorry. Go ahead, Brett.
Brett Ulbrys.
Dan Wall. Pat, I saw you talking, but you're on mute.
Steve McCary.
Jesse Schremer.
And Pat.
You can see him talking, but he
Yeah.
must be on mute.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, before we start, I just want to make a observation that Pat's hair looks really good. It looks like you got a haircut.
Here too.
And he is no, well, you could have said anything. He had no way to defend himself. We'll let Pat figure out his vocal, the audio. So hopefully he'll get his squared away. But Pat, we'll note for the record, Pat is here. Kevin McSherry let me know that he is not going to be at the meeting. He's still recuperating from his injuries, and we absolutely wish him the best. I know it was kind of horrific, everything he's going through, and hope he gets well really soon.
What happened?
Happened to the guy.
Real quick, he blew out his quad, had surgery, and then I believe there was a follow-up infection that he had to go back in for. So he's not in great shape based on the voicemail that I got tonight. So I just feel better.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, moving forward, we have a full house here, so we're not going to be sitting any alternates at the for this meeting at this time. Looking at public hearings, recessed public hearings, we have none. New public hearings, we have none. Future public hearings, we have none. I don't have any, but are there any amendments to the agenda? Jess is shaking her head, so that's good. And then moving on, we have the audience of citizens. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to bring up something to the commission that is not currently on the agenda? again, to the audience of citizens, is there anybody in the audience that would like to bring up something that is not listed on tonight's agenda? And going one last time to the audience of citizens, is there anybody in attendance that would like to bring up any items that are not listed on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll carry on. Correspondence, we have a letter that was dated March 6, 2021. Pat, if you are. Still, okay,
Dave,
we can't hear you. What was that, John?
Do you want me to read it in?
If you have it handy in front of you, that'd be great. If not, I could do it. So if you got it, great, thank you.
This is the item that was received March 10th, stated March 6, 2021, to Market 32, Educational Play Care, Oxford Selectmen, Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission. Yesterday, Friday, March 5th, I shopped at Market 32 at about noon. I was parked in the middle of the lot and was inside for approximately 25 minutes. When I returned to my car, I was surprised to discover a very fine dust covering the vehicle. I just washed the car earlier that day, so it was quite noticeable to me. It was obvious where it came from as I watched plumes of this dust rising up into the air from the activity going on in the quarry next to the Educational Play Care. This is not just an inconvenience, it's a health hazard. How is it that this is permitted with children right next door? I will not shop at Market 32 again while this situation continues. And I've been part of conversations with parents who have children at Educational Play Care who actually discuss pulling their kids out of that facility. I would originally sign my name, but as my fear of retribution prevents me from doing so, my hope is that somebody will read this and act upon it. Thank you, a concerned resident.
Thank you, John. I don't think there's really much that we can that we can comment on here. I think it's something that would need to go to Market 32 and Educational Play Care. John or anybody else? Does anybody else have any comments about this? Or
I think Yeah, Dave. Probably, Dave, that it should go to Haynes, who is responsible. I don't think Market 32 is responsible for nor Educational Play Care. It's the Haynes company that's doing the construction. I know March 5th was that windstorm. I think that was last Friday,
Yeah,
2 Fridays ago.
Yep.
So I
you
know,
might be right.
yeah.
yeah. I think you are.
Yeah, so I think, this should be forwarded to Haynes by our zoning enforcement officer. There is a provision in the site plan that requires them to do dust abatement. But to be fair to everybody, I know that the dust that was blowing around just my house from the street on that day was pretty significant. It was a pretty serious wind. So, let them follow up with it. However, that's how I would, respond to it.
Hey, Dave, if I could,
Go ahead.
Brett was-
I mean, that's been going on for years. I mean, we all know that I'm in that parking lot right there. I mean, ever since that construction started, it's been a dust fight. You know what I mean? Just like John said, you get a little bit of wind and everything is covered with dust. I know Steve has helped, called them on wetting everything down and whatnot. But I mean, if it's already starting now, come springtime, I mean, the dust is really out of control in that area.
Okay. Brett, you wanted to add something?
This is Dan.
Dan, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there, when I saw this letter, just convenience, right? I happened to be going shopping. So I said, well, let me just sit here for a while, right? And I went over actually by the Play Care and I sat there and I honestly didn't see much at all. And I noticed that he keeps it wet down pretty well. But just one day's observation, I didn't notice anything, to tell you the truth, nothing at all.
Right.
Just from an observational point, I have a car that's down there 6 days a week or 5 days a week. My wife works down there, and I mean, to be fair, I don't see a lot of dust on it.
Yeah, same here, John. I didn't see anything really. I sat there for quite a while, pointedly watching. So anyway.
Yeah, I think it's enough that we should alert them that, they have the requirements in the site plan to abate the dust and let them know that there's been complaints. And, if we get more, we have to respond in a more stringent manner. But, we have one letter that doesn't indicate who it is, so we can't follow up with it.
Right. But at the same time, that's a good point. I mean, it does create a documentation trail. If there is additional correspondence that comes in, we're able to, to note that we're getting ongoing correspondence. So I think that makes sense to forward it to Haynes as well. If there's no other comments or objections, then I would ask Steve to take care of forwarding this to Haynes so that they're aware of it. And that we'll continue to observe any other things, any other comments that come into us.
And like Jesse, maybe the wind's blowing the opposite direction towards your side.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we could go back and forth on what day it's worse and what day it's better, but
Yeah.
I'm just, the dust is crazy, but some days is worse than others. So, I guess it depends on what day you're down there,
It's good. No, it's good, but it's good to know because if there is a pattern or something, then we need to be able to track
Yeah,
it.
let it know.
That's
I was
not-
just hoping, I was hoping it was going to be over with, say a year ago, and now we're going on the next year. And I'm like, man, I just want it to be over with already.
Yeah, nah, it's a lot of construction. You're right. Steve, do you have that in terms of getting this letter over to Haynes tomorrow?
Yes, I could talk to Tom tomorrow. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. I want to make sure that he actually gets this letter though. I don't want to just have a conversation.
I'm sorry?
I want to make sure he actually gets this letter and I don't want it to just be a conversation.
Yes, I could forward it to him.
Great. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay. Moving on to old business matters on which a public hearing was held, none. Old business, other matters. We have Z-02-267 Mountain Road Estates, Great Hill Road, Meadowbrook Estates, the 55+ residential community. This is for that final bond release request. We had discussion about this at the last meeting about possibly reducing it to 10%, and we referred this back to Jim Galligan at Naples and Young to take another look at this, and he came back with a letter that everybody should have in their packets, that they've reviewed the correspondence regarding the request for the bond release, and they recommend that the bond be reduced to a 10% maintenance bond for 1 year. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and sign Jim Galligan, Naples and Young. Are there any comments regarding the correspondence? And if none, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to, let's see, where is it? Pat, I don't think Pat has his, no, Pat's disappeared for a minute.
You want me to?
What was that, John?
That's the document that, one of the motions that Jessica sent out, right?
Exactly. If you have it handy and want to make the motion, or I can do it, whatever you like.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Excuse me, Dave, before you go, John. They're saying they sold the last unit in November 2020. So is this bond going to be held until November 2021 or from today's date on for another year?
I think the recommendation would be 1 year from the when the last no, after the last closing is when is actually mentioned in the motion itself. So the last closing being November 2020 would be November 2021.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'll throw it over to John.
I don't think this is the right bond paperwork or the right motion. Jess, can you look at, it says, reduce bond, soil and erosion bond for RBC bearings.
Yeah, there's two in there.
I must have,
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that should have been deleted. It should be just.
Well, let me
That's,
make it-
yeah, it looks like a motion, the motion was copied over and that text that probably should have been deleted.
Yep. Two in there. So it's like,
We got three of them. So.
I only have one page. Well, how about, I'll just wing it.
Yeah, I think the top part is the only part that we need. I wouldn't go by the bottom part. The bottom part looks like it references something else, probably from a cut and paste.
exactly. It's like two were merged.
Yeah,
Do we have the, I only have one page, so if someone can just read off the right bond number and I'll amend it.
It looks like 400 KF 6036.
and John, I'm confirming that from Jim Galligan's correspondence to us back on September 10th of 2020, when he made the original recommendation to hold it for a year. So the pound sign 400 is the correct bond number.
All right, and the amount of the bond was 100,000.
300,000.
300.
300,000, reducing to 10%, which would be 30,000. So that's correct based upon the original correspondence that was sent over to us.
All right, so the motion by John Kerwin to make a favorable recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to reduce bond number 400K F6036, a bond in the amount of 300,000 to $30,000 to a $30,000 maintenance bond to be held for 1 year after the last date of closing, which for the record was
November 220.
November 2020.
November, I'll just put November 1st, right? Just
That's fine.
a date certain. 2020, to be held for 1 year from that date.
Second,
Got it. Who is the second?
Brett.
Brett second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Great. All right.
All right, Jess, I'll send this off to you. I just typed it up. So I'll email it over, all right?
Pat, how are you doing with audio? Are you? Okay. Okay, moving on. F, new business, schedule a public hearing, none. G, new business, application Z-21-021, 350 Center Rock Green, Building L, Suite 209. Owner is the Oxford Town Center LLC. The applicant is Dan Satari Visobello, 350 Center Rock Green, Building L, Suite 209, for a use permit. Is anybody from Visobello here? Okay, not seeing, I don't think they have to be. It was more, it's a use permit, but it's always nice to hear what's happening. Looking at this, I'll open it up to the commission. If there's anything that kind of stands out that they have questions about or want to discuss. It looked pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Pete, did the sign configuration make sense?
I don't have any signs on this one.
There should be a map or a picture.
Oh,
It's page 10 of the packet.
I don't have the page number in mind, but yeah.
If you're looking at the PDF.
Is there?
this is the ones in Haynes, right?
Exactly, yep,
Yeah, his signs are usually standard size.
exactly. And it looks like, doesn't look any different than what we typically say.
Exactly.
Wanted to throw it out there. I know it's a happy topic sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess there's
Well,
nobody
the
here to ask some questions, so.
well, I mean, the applicant's not here. I don't, is there anything pressing in terms of here that would cause us not to be able to get a motion on this?
I don't see anything out of the ordinary for a salon, really.
Pretty routine.
Yeah,
You're muted, John.
Yeah, I think it's a consistent use with the rest of the development. You know, I think there's already a salon in there, so it's nothing that, you know, that is outside of the ordinary uses that are committed in that area. So I don't see
Right.
any problems.
I just had a quick question, Dave.
Sure, Brett.
And honestly, I don't know much about this stuff, but Botox is an injectable liquid that you put into people. And there have been people who've had negative reactions to Botox. I don't know if it's a normal thing that goes on at spas, but is this something that we should have any concern about?
I don't think that's up to us, the
No.
Botox, or anything like that.
Gotta
Yeah.
be health department related.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's personal preference. I mean, it's not illegal. And I know other spas that do offer this, not that I've partaken of it, but you can tell. You know.
In a couple of years, I might be down there. So
Push it, pass it, pass it.
there's nothing in our regs that prohibits it. So
Okay.
Exactly. All right, hearing that, and John, I can take care of this motion if it's,
Make the motion to approve it.
you, okay, well, there's actually a motion that was in our packet, or that just had sent, so we have kind of have to go through it. So I'll go ahead and make the motion, and if somebody could second it after that, that'd be great. This is a motion to approve application Z-21-021 with the following conditions. Applicant and their assigns must comply with all representations made at the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings and/or public hearings regarding this application. 2, compliance with the statement of use dated March 2nd, 2021. 3, compliance with the WPCA approval dated February 12th, 2021. 4, compliance with the Oxford zoning regulations as of this date. 5, per Article 3, Section 3.19.1 of the zoning regulations, the applicant shall be responsible for rendering payment for any outside experts that the commission assigns to review this application. Reason for the approval is that it meets Oxford zoning regulations in effect as of this date. So I'm making the motion. And is there a second?
Second.
Pete, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Jess, I'm not talented enough to type this up at the same time while doing this, so I will get this over to you after. If that's okay. All right. Next up under new business, we have Z-21-027, 824 referral for the Tarby Lane reconstruction. Owner, Town of Oxford, 486 Oxford Road, Oxford, Connecticut. The applicant is Clay Lacy Aviation, 9 Giuliano Drive, Oxford, Connecticut. And we have some materials here in our packet as well, too. I know Civil One was representing them. Is there anybody from Civil One here on the call?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Emily Jones, professional engineer with Civil One. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
If you would like, I have a PowerPoint I can share on my screen if that's enabled or anything like that. Otherwise, I can just summarize. It's totally up to you.
I wouldn't mind taking a gander at it. Jess, are you able to? I know you can't. We don't have your audio, but are you able to allow Emily to share her screen?
Be able to.
You might have to make me the host.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yay! Emily, just try to share your screen.
So it says the host disabled participant screen sharing. And the only way I've ever been able to get around that in other towns is to temporarily become the host, which does give me a little bit of a power trip, but it's just temporary. Don't give it back.
Go ahead.
So I think let's see. There we go. Perfect.
You have the power.
I do have the power. Okay. So Civil One has been contracted as the site civil engineer for Clay Lacy Aviation for some improvements at the Waterbury Oxford Airport. They are a current tenant at the airport, but they are looking to construct 2 buildings. One is a replacement of an existing T-hanger structure, and the other is a brand new building. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with the airport and where it is. It's just south of the Middlebury Town Line. CAA, Connecticut Airport Authority, actually owns land both in Oxford and Middlebury. And there's a network of roads around the airport. So the eastern side of the airport is accessed by Giuliano Drive, and then the western side is accessed by Airport Access Road, Christian Street, and then Tarby Lane is sort of a little offshoot on Airport Access Road.
Somebody has 2 microphones open.
Yeah.
It's me? I don't think it's me.
Everybody can go on mute for just a moment or two, except for Emily.
Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So this is just a little vicinity map of the airport, and it shows you the site, which is basically where Airport Access Road meets Tarby Lane. And the overall project, just to give you a little bit of a background, is there are 3 areas of construction or activity proposed by Clay Lacy, Site A, Site B, and then a proposed wetland mitigation area to the north of the airport in Middlebury. Site B, I don't know if some people might recall, but PJ Aero owned it up until a few years ago. We'd gone through some site planning for that, and I think gotten it partially approved with CAA, and then they pulled out of the project. So Site B is access from Christian Road, no issues. Site A does not currently have any construction on it. It's located between a couple hangars, and the access for Site A is off of Tarby Lane. The proposal for Site A, which is the area that we're talking about tonight, is for a 51,500 square foot hangar and the apron, associated parking, the taxi lane, all of those nice improvements that go along with a project such as this. So our big issue that we had, not the biggest issue, believe me, but an issue that we had was that there's a pretty strict slope restriction from the taxiway down to the hangar and to the hangar apron. Obviously, these aircraft cannot travel over a steep slope. So, you know, from that existing taxiway up here down to where the hangar is a maximum of like 1%. So that dictates that that building has to be up fairly high in relation to where the entrance comes in off of Airport Access Road and Tarby Lane. So Tarby Lane, as it exists now, comes off of Airport Access Road. It's kind of a narrow road with no curbing, probably 20 to 22 feet wide. There's no real storm drainage in it. So stormwater comes down from this hillside, this hillside here, down, flows onto Tarby Lane. Some of it flows across, some of it flows down. It does all eventually get into an existing drainage system and discharge into the state right of way. But the road was a little bit narrow, and more importantly, we needed to adjust the elevation slightly so that we could access the hangar up above. The driveway into the site, we have only so far, and don't want to go above 10%. You know, with passenger vehicles, we want to make a gentler slope in these areas of the intersection. So basically, we worked backwards to find if we could make up that elevation difference between Tarby Lane and the pad. And so what we came up with was sort of a reorientation and a regrading and resurfacing of Tarby Lane for about 350 feet from the intersection of Airport Access Road to about the existing driveway for the existing fuel farms. And what that does is it widens the road a little bit to 24 feet. It allows that those trucks from the fuel farm to come out onto a standard road. We added some curbing and introduced a formal storm drainage system into that to capture runoff from the hillside. And then it also allowed us to come up, if you look at the profile down here, come up a little bit so that where we begin our driveway is about at the high point, you'll see, of Tarby Lane, so that we can actually get up and access that site. And I did send this over to Jim Galligan a couple of weeks ago. I kind of forgot that he's not the only show in town anymore, that Brian, I don't know if he has to take a look at it or not, Brian Mysteriak. And I have to admit that I'm not sure how this whole process works. I know it's funny because normally these public improvements that we do are part of a site plan where we have something also to approve on the site from you guys, but this is strictly roadway improvement. So I believe that what we are asking for is a referral to the Board of Selectmen and for their final approval on these roadway improvements. So the improvements on the CA property for the hangar itself, for all 3 sites, we're in, just to give you sort of an idea of where we are. It has to be approved and reviewed by CAA, the FAA, Connecticut DEP, and the Army Corps of Engineers. So we're currently working through all of those processes for the improvements on the site. There's a very significant environmental assessment that we've prepared for them, stormwater pollution control plan. So all of that is sort of wrapped up into our state and federal permitting. But this specifically is a local public improvement that we need local approval for. So having said that, I will happily answer any questions or give you any more information that you need.
Dave, you're muted. It's a rough night tonight for.
Yeah.
for all
I
the-
know, but some people might celebrate me being muted too. So thanks for the heads up. So Emily, thank you very much for the presentation. I appreciate the detail and it kind of connects a lot of dots for me. I'll throw it out to the commission first. If anybody has any questions for Emily regarding this, or wants to talk a little bit about our process for how we move forward with it. So I'll open it up to everybody else first.
Dave, if I can just ask a couple of preliminary questions.
Absolutely, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I can call you Emily. Do you remember
Yeah,
Ms. Jones? Emily. So this is an 824, a general statute, section 824 recommendation, basically for the Tarby Lane aspect of this project, because that's the municipal property
Right.
that this project is dealing with.
Yeah.
And the development of this hangar obviously is not up. This isn't really town property. It's subject to FAA, the Connecticut Airport Authority, a number of other agencies that you had discussed earlier, right?
Correct, yes.
All right, so I think it's fair just to let us focus on what we're really dealing with. It's just this area of Tarby Lane that's being taken. Is it town property that
It is town property. So it was actually kind of a bear to find out what was going on because Airport Access Road is a state road. And we assumed that the state right of way went all the way up to the airport property, but it doesn't. And I'll just highlight, if you can see my screen, there's a red dot on my screen. the state right-of-way actually ends just before the intersection of Tarby Lane and Airport Access Road. And then Tarby Lane, at least past the fuel farm down towards where you get to Christian Street, is all town right-of-way. And then the other property line, goes back to state property. So it's a narrow strip of Oxford-owned property in there.
And it's safe to say that the existing road and the new road are going to be on the same basic plot plan or plot layout.
Yes, yes.
So are you familiar with 824, the statute?
Only somewhat, I have to say.
All right, so and basically where a municipality is requesting an approval, an acceptance of any kind of property, streets, bridges. Basically, there's a procedure by this statute that they need the approval of planning and zoning by way of a referral to the Board of Selectmen saying that we're okay with it.
Right.
And that's basically the extent of the statute's grant of authority to planning and zoning. Would you agree with it?
That's how I understood it, but I wanted to make sure.
All right. And the purpose of having to do the major regrade is obviously for the safety of any passengers on the plane or any people that work with the planes, to make the grade a little bit more amenable to I guess, taxiing. You said that the planes,
Right.
obviously, they don't have low gear to go downhill. They can't drop it in first gear.
And
So-
this, to be clear, this access drive from Tarby Lane is strictly for passenger vehicles. So black car service that may be picking up passengers in private jets, or people that work at the hangar, maintenance people, or pilots themselves. The challenge comes because the minimum elevation of that hangar building. And so then that has to be accessed from Tarby Lane. Really, I don't like to go over 10%, for a driveway or access road. So that's what we used as our limiting factor.
Because you had to raise up the footprint of the building, you have to then address the road.
Correct.
And it's a safety issue.
Yes, and a steepness issue, and we wanted to make those intersections as clear as possible so that originally we had more of a straight shot up to the hangar, but we reoriented it so that it was more a 90-degree angle so that it was clear what was turning on to Tarby Lane, and then clear again what was turning on to the site as a private access drive up to the site. And also to sort of bring it up to town standards where there will be fuel trucks driving in and out of that existing fuel farm on Tarby Lane down to Airport Access Road and up the access drive. So to bring that road, that section of the road up to a little bit tighter standard in line with your town ordinances regulations.
You do have a right to farm ordinance in Oxford too, for the fuel farm. Okay, that's a fuel storage area, not the fuel.
Correct. It's they fuel, the trucks. It's fuel tanks.
I'm actually familiar with it from other cases. They store jet fuel there too.
I don't know why they call it a fuel farm, actually.
I think it's an aeronautical
industry term.
Yeah. So basically, this whole project is kind of visited by the need for safety. That's why we're doing this.
Yes, correct.
All right. That was kind of long-winded, but I don't have anything else, Dave. So.
Nah, you covered a few things. That was great. Anybody else have some questions for Emily?
Not for Emily, Dave. To you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, wait. Hold on. Pete, I think I heard your voice next.
Yeah, wouldn't this be something we send over to Nathan Young to have a look at?
That was one of my questions, if this is something that has to be reviewed by our engineer from P and Z first, or does it, is that handled through the referral to the Board of Selectmen and it's handled on that end? That was one of my questions I was gonna throw out there as well too.
Well, I would suggest that they take a look at it before we do anything.
And so I had sent this preliminarily over to Jim Galligan to review. He took a look at these plans. He took a look at our full site plan set for the hangar itself and the stormwater calculations for that. But obviously that was preliminary. I just wanted to get some comments just so that it could make sure that it was up to snuff before it came in. And his suggestion was to come here for an 824 referral to Board of Selectmen. And he wasn't sure if it would have to go, for additional review or not. So we are, amenable to whatever you need to do to, feel comfortable sending this back to Board of Selectmen. So, whatever you need us to do, we're happy to do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dave, if I can just interject quickly, because there's a time frame in the statute. I have the statute in front of me, and it says, notwithstanding the provisions of this section, the municipality may take final action approving the appropriation of proposal. The failure of the commission to report within 35 days after the date of the official submission, which I think is today, will result in the report being taken as an approval. So I don't think, I think it's more or less, the Board of Selectmen still have the opportunity to review this, and they can override our approval or disapproval. So if we do ask for Nafis and Young, though, it has to be within that 35-day time period. We'd have to act, or it's just approved anyway, and we've kind of wasted the referral to Nafis and Young.
So in other words, the 35 days would kick off now, and we'd actually be cutting 2 weeks off from the selectmen being able to do their review and their approval for the overall process.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it might impinge on their approval as well.
Okay, good feedback. Good feedback to know. Somebody was just about to speak when John brought up that comment. Who is that?
I was just trying to find out if you can hear me now.
We can hear you now, Pat. Do you have something to ask?
Not at this time. I just trying to get back online here.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, thanks.
Emily, just a quick question from my perspective, just because I don't know. You mentioned about there's going to be truck traffic on Tarby Lane, and it's an improvement, obviously, from a safety standpoint. The road's going to be widened, which I think is great. 90-degree intersection, which is great. Is there truck traffic right now on Tarby Lane going to that fuel farm?
Yeah, there is. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So that's actually, it works overall to be an improvement overall and improve an existing situation too. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Pat, you're recognized.
Just a quick question. Has Nafis and Young reviewed this at this time?
We were just talking about that. Preliminary, they had sent it off to preliminary review. The response back, they weren't sure if it needed something more formalized, but John pointed out that we're under a strict time frame. And rather than sending it to Nafis as an option, we could not send it to Nafis and Young for review and get a referral over to the Board of Selectmen and let them decide if they want to do that and not cut into their time to review and decide what action they want to take.
Why don't we do that then? Because of the time restrictions and stuff. Because if we wait for a review from Nafis and Young and then forward it to Board of Selectmen, there's probably going to be out of time.
Exactly, and I don't want to cut anybody short either. If they have a chance to override or take it further in their
If they think it
investigations.
needs further review, they can have the Styriak review it at that time.
Exactly.
So
Did
in that
anybody
case,
else?
I would.
Oh, go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I would then, unless somebody else has something to add, I would make the motion to forward this to the Board of Selectmen with a favorable recommendation.
Pat, I'm going to read the motion out loud, and if you could tell me that that this is your motion, then that'll cover.
Oh, I'm
So-
sorry, was there a motion in the packet?
There was a motion it was a separate email that was sent. It wasn't in the packet itself.
Ah,
I'll read it. You tell me if it's good. This will be your motion. So we have a motion by Pat Cocherella to send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Selectmen regarding the 824 referral request for the Tarby Lane improvements. Pat, did I summarize that okay?
yes, that's fine.
Okay, great. So we have a motion from Pat to refer this for the referral request to the Board of Selectmen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan Wall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we'll get this over to the Board of Selectmen. No problem. Thank you very much for all the context and the color and the presentation, Emily.
So I'm not the host, right? I just want to make sure that that just gave me permission to share and didn't actually make me have any real, I don't want to end the meeting for everybody.
That would be funny.
No, Jack, I think we're,
I don't think I'm hosting it.
I think we should be okay.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't give me any option to give anybody else a host. So, okay, thank you so much. Have a good night.
thank you. Enjoy your night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have in new business, we have a driveway revision for Lot 4 Hidden Valley Estates. The owner is Ed Magera. I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced. I apologize if I butchered it. And I have the plan, the site plan, it looks like, but I don't have any other context, commentary, or anything like that. Or is somebody, is the applicant on the line with us in the audience? No. Jess, do we have any color or context or anything regarding this?
Hello, you can hear me? I'm trying to do this on the computer and my phone, so you can hear
Oh,
me.
we got you now. You're good. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have a letter or anything. This was kind of handed to me. It's been in the office for a while. The gentleman keeps coming back. So this is what I was given. He wants to do a driveway, a revision. So I don't know what else you guys might need, a letter or something, a request. But from what I understand, it came from the Board of Selectmen to send it to Planning and Zoning, to refer it back to the Board of Selectmen and Jim Galligan and then the Board of Selectmen. But that's all I know.
So,
I think they need to give us a little bit more than just a drawing.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't really tell.
I don't even know.
Yeah, this is not enough information.
That could be our recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. We need something to say yes or no to.
I think that's,
Whatever you guys want me to do, I can do, or Steve can do. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on.
right. And unless somebody sees here something that the rest of us are missing, and I'm welcome, and if you do, please say so. I'm kind of in agreement. I was looking at this earlier, wondering where's the context? What are we supposed to be looking at here? What's, what are they trying to accomplish? So, yeah, we got this from the Board of Selectmen. I entertain a motion to return it with the request for more information, more context.
I'll second that,
So
David.
moved.
Nothing here.
Okay, so we have a motion, motions from Pat, second from Pete, to take, to refer back to the Board of Selectmen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Jess has a question.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I was reading, Jess. It's not my fault. I can't.
It's okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
All right, I'm muted on one, like I said, on my phone with the sound. This didn't actually come from the Board of Selectmen. So, Steve, do you wanna talk about this? Because I know that you know more about this than I do.
Yes, I could speak here if they want me to. So the original driveway went across a cul-de-sac on Perkins Road where they put a sewer and water line in, and they were supposed to continue the road. It did not continue the road. So Fred D'Amico submitted a plan, and on that plan, the first plan, it says 300-foot access easement over town right-of-way. It went to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen voted to put that driveway right there. After doing research, because the first plan was never referred to Jim Galligan, nor was there a title search done on it, which we don't do. The property where the driveway went over was owned by the neighbor. So we had to move the driveway 10 feet to one side to stay off of the neighbor's property. This came right from George Temple. He called me in the office, said, bring this to your commission, show it, refer it back to Jim Galligan. So I don't have an application. I don't have fees. That's what I was told to do, so I did it. The original driveway was on private property. We took it off the private property with a revised map from D'Amico and put it on the town right of way. This is the Perkins Road where the sewer and water go to the high school off of Moose Hill. The road's never going to go through. Private road. The original plan showed it on someone else's property, which was a typo by the surveyor who did the original plan. And that's all the information I have. The gentleman bought the lot, I think, 5 years ago. He's got a certificate of zoning compliance from the previous CEO that he has a building lot, and he has one from me. I never mentioned the driveway, nor did the previous CEO. So however you guys want to handle it, George told me to bring this to the commission, the map, get a referral back to the Board of Selectmen and to Jim Galligan. He specified Jim Galligan, which I think there might be a note from him already on it. I'm not even sure. Because I know him and Fred were talking, and Fred emailed him the map.
Well, I think we should get some more information from Jim Galligan then on what.
I don't know. Is his letter up? I didn't even see it, but yeah, Jim Galligan sent a letter.
Dave, can we withdraw the motion to refer and just table it and see if we can get some more information?
I'm open to that. Pat, would you entertain withdrawing your motion?
Yes, absolutely. And move to table this until we have more information.
Second.
Actually, before we do that, I just want to make a point and ask, because this is a great example. Steve, you have a lot of great background information on this, which I think would help having it attached. I'm not sure if that was told to you verbally or if you have letters or a file or anything along those lines. So when we move this motion to table, I'm hoping that one of the things that you can do is also be able to pull that information together so the commission can see it along with this when it comes back up. Does that make sense?
So what I'll do is I'll get the old map. I'll get the minutes from the Board of Selectmen meeting that says the original driveway was already approved and it was not. And then I will get the letter from Jim Galligan stating how it's taken off the private property and onto the new.
That would be helpful, because then we'd have a timeline or a storyline to be able to see what happened to where we are and that would help us understand why we're looking at what we're looking at. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Pat. So we have a motion from Pat to table until table for the next meeting. And we have a second from John. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. No opposals, motion carries. Great, thanks. All right. Next up, we have zoning enforcement. I had asked Steve last week to kind of pinpoint the cases that we wanted to talk about, or we wanted to discuss for the commission to be able, so that way we can have some structure in terms of what, what cases are on the docket and what are the things that we're going to be covering for the meeting. And I don't see anything listed here. Steve, are there any specific items from a zoning enforcement standpoint that you want?
Well, this time of year, as you all know, it's very, very slow in enforcement. I don't get many complaints at all. I've probably gotten 2 in the past 3 weeks, which I got today, received today. Once people get out of their houses in the spring and they start seeing stuff, they will increase. But the 2 I got today was for a big Ackerman excavator on Fiddlehead Road at the entrance that was burned, caught on fire. It's got a blue tarp on it. So, and I just got to say, I'm just going to send the guy a letter to remove it. And I got photos today of over by Dollar Tree where there's garbage everywhere, which is in our regulations on page 18. Those are the 2 I've gotten today. Pines Bridge Road, if you look on the spreadsheet that Dave created, is still open. And Franco's property, I'm thinking it's all set. But there's, like I said, the spreadsheet came in only 2 weeks ago. So I normally give people 30 days. The trash and the soil and erosion at Dollar Tree, we need to address it. It's been happening since they've opened. So I want them to come in with a site plan to show a better dumpster enclosure because their stuff is blowing everywhere.
What place is this now?
It's Dollar General.
Dollar
right
General,
across
not Dollar Tree, Dollar General.
Dollar General across from Little River Power Company. You can see the garbage all over the road, and it's all in the wetland gully and in the retention basin. And I was out there with Mike Hurd twice already. So today we met the owner of the property. And, he was sick with COVID, so he's going to address it. And I expect everything to pick up probably next month or the month after. But this time of year, it's really slow. There's nothing. People are not out. It's cold. They're not calling in. So it's the norm.
So Steve, for the matters that you brought up, you're kind of in your timeline right now where whether it's going through the 30-day period before you would take your next step, or you are already taking action where you need to take action. So there isn't really anything for the commission to hold on. So there isn't really anything for the commission to give you direction. It sounds like you have everything kind of under control for what's open right at the moment, is what you're saying.
That's perfect, Dave. Absolutely. These to me, the Ackerman, I'm going to, I know the guy. I've been to his house before. I'm going to probably stop there tomorrow, get rid of that. The trash is under control. I'd like to bring this stuff to the commission when I'm 30, 60, 90 days out, when I'm getting nowhere with it. But the small little thing, it takes a lot of time. Most of my stuff is done in the past 20 years, 25 years being a CEO is like a knock on the door or a card. Hey, how are you? Tell them who I am. And it works well.
No, good. All right. So then what I want to make sure, and again, on the record, I want to make sure that you and I connect before the next meeting so we can understand and talk about which things to bring up here. So that way, like you said, we're not discussing things with the commission that they don't necessarily need to hear about right now, but making sure that we're bringing the most applicable things to them to be able to have the discussion. So you and I should be connecting before the agenda is set for the next meeting.
Okay.
That sound fair?
Can I make a comment in here, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure.
As far as we authorize our CEO to take care of a lot of this stuff. And many of what comes in, of course, it's slow right now, but even when it's busy, a lot of it is very simple things that, with a phone call or a visit, or both, of course, he can take care of with the perpetrator. And I don't know if the commission really needs to go over every little one of these complaints, that there's major things going on that we really need to be paying attention to, rather than, whether somebody, has an extra lawnmower in their yard or something of that sort. That's
Right.
something the CEO should be able to handle with a phone call. If things get out of hand, then of course he comes to the commission and we proceed to the next level. But that initial level is something that he should be able to deal with on a day-to-day basis and not involve the whole commission. I mean, that's why we authorize a CEO. Otherwise, we wouldn't need one. Every complaint would come into us, and we'd have to deal with it. I mean, just a thought. I mean,
I
don't
no, I
know.
completely agree, and that's the direction that we're going. Which is why, I want to make sure that we understand in advance, and I've had, conversations with Steve in advance to understand what's going to be on the agenda before we actually get into it. And that's one of the reasons why I want to make sure that we're getting the cases he wants to talk about discussed with us up front before it actually shows up on here to appear for the commission. Because again, you're right, 99% of the stuff I think really should be handled, can be handled, and we don't need to even have it come across our plate. So I wanted to be, use our time efficiently and effectively by having this, by having an outline up front of what we want to talk about. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we should only be dealing with like repeat offenders or that type of thing.
Right.
And
I agree
especially when it's something more than a neighbor issue, we really should get involved.
Right.
Dave, can I just make a comment?
Please go ahead, John.
I think that's the purpose of you wanting to liaison with Steve beforehand and isolate those matters that need to come to our attention. Right? I don't think the purpose here is that everything gets discussed with the board, right?
100%, exactly. That's something that Steve and I have been having conversations about.
Yeah.
I don't want to, if we're, I don't think the spreadsheet should be sent out in advance because I think it opens up the door to, all the things potentially to be talked about. I think the spreadsheet should be accessible by everybody, and we're making improvements to it. But, for the purposes of the agenda and our meeting, for the limited amount of time we have here, let's make sure we're talking about the things that are most meaningful. And that's what I want to identify in advance of the meeting.
The one point I wanted to make, though, even in those situations that it does not need to come to our attention, which I imagine would be 85, 90% of the complaints, I still think it's important that every action that Steve takes by way of enforcement is documented. So if there is a phone call, if there is a notice sent, that we have a record of it. And that way, in the past or in the future, Steve has documentation. If there is a persistent problem, we can go back and say, no, I spoke to you on this date. I sent you a letter on this date. I think that aids everyone's job, in dealing with repeat offenders. So hopefully everything is getting documented. Obviously, we don't need to talk about 90% of the stuff.
But eventually, one of those 90% could be part of that, could make it into that 10% where it becomes a problem and you need to go back. And the perfect example is that last case that we were just talking about with that driveway revision. I'm very happy Steve had all that background documentation. It wasn't part of what we got tonight, but we will have that in the future. And that's helpful in terms of doing it. And that's the type of timelines we need to have with, with the complaints that are coming in. So I completely agree.
I have no problem, like, jotting something on where I went and what I saw. But I've got probably over 1,000 places I've already been in my files, and anybody can stop in and look. But like I said, the small stuff, I'd like to set up a couple people for liaison that I sit down with, talk to them like once a month or once every 2 months, a couple people, I don't care who they are, and say, this is what I have. And then I did it with Pete and Pat before, and it worked under Jeff and Arnie and Tanya, and it worked fantastic for signs and violations. I'd meet with them every couple months. I'd show them what I have. They would decide if you guys want to go that route. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. It worked really well.
Well, probably not a decision for tonight, but it's something that you and I can talk about. Absolutely.
And just a concern, I don't think two individuals out of the board can act on behalf of the board. We don't have independent authority. It would have to be, if there's any kind of ratification of what you're doing, it has to go before the entire board. One or two individuals from the board don't exercise the power of the commission. You don't have.
Well, no, that's,
So we can address that later. That doesn't have to be discussed right now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, let's leave it right there and move on, because I think I know where you're going with that, Steve, and we can definitely talk.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on with the agenda, we have minutes. We have the February 16th, 2021 minutes that Jessica sent tonight. I'm not sure everybody get a chance to read them or any comments or questions. And hearing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Move to
So
accept.
moved. Second.
Pat and John. John made the motion, Pat second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Jess, we don't have the March 2nd minutes though, right? We're still working on those?
No, yep,
Cool.
you,
Nope, that's cool. No, you know what? This is a heck of a lot better than it was last summer when you were trying to reconcile hours and hours of them. So no, this is going smoothly. Great. Invoices. We have a number of invoices.
I have them, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you go. You're up, Pat.
Okay, the first one is from the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies. Our annual dues of $110. I move that we pay it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next.
Okay, we have a, what is this? Okay, yes, from Navis and Young, for $840.75 for lots 5 and 6, Woodruff Hill Road review and report. Not road, I'm sorry, Woodruff Hill lots 5 and 6, Woodruff Hill. This, I don't think actually is ours. Wouldn't this belong to,
The
is
applicant.
is this for the lots or is this for the application that came in?
This is for the lots where I believe that they wanted to,
It says review and report, so I would imagine it's to review an application. Isn't that paid?
Is that for Woodruff Hill?
All right, then I move to pay and of course forward it to the applicant.
Yeah, doesn't the applicant have to pay that?
I think the applicant has to pay that exactly. That's what I'm trying to, going through my pile of notes here.
Yeah.
Past cases.
It's usually deducted from the fees is what happens. But I was just curious, was this for the lots or was this for the application? I guess I was making a distinction because they were town-owned lots.
That
So
was
this-
for the, that's for the review of, the two
Yeah, the
lots by
report.
Jim Callaghan. And yes, it does, we do charge the applicant.
So I made the motion to pay it.
So would we make a motion to pay or would we make a motion to forward it to the applicant? What?
Well, no, we pay it because it's deducted from his fees.
Okay.
And Jessica could give you details on the way that works. Am I correct, Jess?
yeah, all our fees go into the general fund. We don't hold
Yeah.
them to charge the applicant, so we have to pay it. And then we have to pay Jim Galligan, and then we send the invoice to the applicant. And they pay us back.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that there was a process in place for that because, yeah, this was something that was their request and we, you make sure that we're getting reimbursed. So as long as there's a process in place and I'm okay with, Pat, you can go ahead. You said you made a motion to.
I made the motion to pay that one.
Okay.
And now I'm,
Is there a second for the motion to pay that one?
Second.
John, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks. Motion carries. Next.
okay. Then we have again from Navis and Young, 349 Kristen Street, review and report for $309.75. Motion to pay.
Second,
John, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then the last one I have is a invoice from Costco for a printer for Steve's office for $319.04, and it's to reimburse. Can't read the name. I'm sorry.
Claudia, it's Jeff Love's wife, it looks like.
Oh, okay, Claudia Love. For the purchase of this printer.
And for the record, I know Steve's printer was going bad and this isn't, we do have a budget for this. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that.
All right, the motion to pay.
Second.
Pat and Dan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. One question for invoices for Jess. I'm not sure how this works. For those of us that attended the that land use seminar a couple of Saturdays ago, is there something we have to do to get reimbursed?
I just, if you can hopefully go back and find your confirmation or that you paid and email it to me. I have to go back into my emails and find mine. And I will try to, if you guys get them to me, I'll submit them as soon as possible. Like, if you can get into me by Thursday, that'd be great.
Okay. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Ready. And then finally, for other business, again, Kevin, unfortunately being laid up a little bit. I didn't get any updates or anything like that regarding the outstanding items. I know he had those working and in process, so, but no updates right now at this particular moment. Is there any other business anybody in the commission wants to bring up that's deemed necessary for discussion?
Hey, Dave, I just had a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
When did we, I'm just curious, the new restaurant that's opening up in Quarry Walk, when did we review that and approve that? I don't remember.
I have no idea about a new restaurant that's opening up.
Well, the one that has that outdoor fireplace on the end there, as you drive into Quarry Walk, it's like right on the left-hand side.
Right.
Talking about the sitting duck?
No, not the sitting duck, the one across from the sitting duck that's on the, like if you were turned left into the green, right on the right-hand side. I thought there was like a
Yeah, it's a pizza place. It's gonna be.
a new pizza place that's going in. When did we ever review that?
I thought that was last year, actually.
I don't recall that. And I know supposedly they're advertising. I just don't ever recall talking about it. I could be wrong. I just don't remember.
There should be use permits for that.
The commission did approve that.
Okay.
You did approve that? Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. It was a while ago, but
Okay.
I can pull the approval if you.
No.
If you want.
If you say we did, that's fine. I just don't recall it.
Have to go back and look. I know there was a stretch that I wasn't around, so I'm not sure if it came up during then or not, but yeah, if you recall, then that's good.
Dave, got a question for you.
Okay, Pete.
Pat wanted to bring up an item that the Hartford was supposed to be bringing up on these plan and zoning. It looks like they're trying to get rid of plan and zoning on all towns in Connecticut.
Oh, yes. I don't know if everybody is aware of it. There's a bunch of, in the various committees up in Hartford, there's all this legislation going on that's being promoted by a couple of different organizations that are trying to basically eliminate local planning and zoning and putting it in the hands of a state task group or something of that sort. I sent out, I posted Representative Doug Dubinsky had posted all of the bill numbers and stuff on his site, and I forwarded it around to a lot of people. I don't know if anybody responded or what have you, but I want to make sure everybody's aware of this going on up there. And if our leadership in town is aware of it.
I think it's worth sharing, and I want to make sure I'm just saying this the right way, just out of the utmost of caution, because we're in a public setting, and I don't know if this is something that we want to be discussing in this forum, though I appreciate you sharing is something that's happening on a state level that everybody should be aware of.
That's what I'm saying is that
I just want to make sure I don't want to take it any further from that and have somebody misinterpret what somebody said as being something that wasn't meant. And so we know what's going on, but I think probably just leave it at that if that's okay, unless somebody else. Fair enough, everybody?
I'm good with that.
Agree, Dave.
Yep.
I just had one question. If
Absolutely, go for it. I have one more item I wanted to bring up, but go for it. Go ahead, John.
this is following up with what Brett had asked. What's going on at the quarry with all the, I guess the center of that parking area is all open. Did we approve that, or has anybody seen that? I just drove by that. It's the first time I saw anything like that. He's got a,
he sells a lot of dirt and mulch and everything out of it. He did it last year too. I thought he had a permit for that.
Yeah, I know he had it last year. I saw it there last year.
Yeah.
Well.
It's like it's the extension of Ace, I think. That's where Ace has like their outdoor garden center, like Home Depot has theirs down in Derby.
Yeah, it is. It's Ace Hardware. I know that.
we approved that too?
To be totally honest with you,
I
I don't
believe we did
remember.
last year.
Yeah, I was just curious because it had come up and I was driving down there the other day and
Don't recall.
And
Yeah,
Dave,
because they set it up for people so it was a drive-through situation where you pulled in and they loaded the stuff right into your vehicle.
and it worked
They
well.
had a good setup. It worked very well. Because I got a bunch of mulch and topsoil and stuff from
I kind of confused. I did too.
So did I.
that,
Hey,
that's
Dave,
my question.
along the same lines, I'm just curious because in our package was the Market 32 or the Quarry Walk schematic of the entire complex. And I know this happened way before I got on the commission, but has that site plan conceptually been approved? Meaning like the buildings are going to be the buildings, it's just a matter of who goes into those buildings? Because like I noticed like a restaurant in the middle with a drive-through. I noticed other buildings. So just on a conceptual basis, has the site plan been approved as drawn? And we just need to approve who goes in, or do we still need to approve any new construction that goes on?
Most of it has been. Most
Go
of
ahead,
it
Pat.
has been. Most of it has been approved. The actual building configurations, of course, would have to come in with the specific plan. But the, I guess, yeah, the conceptual plan has been approved. And the, in that center area, yes, we actually had a couple of approvals there. One was for the cleaners that never developed, if everybody remembers. Best Cleaners was going to move in there. And there was another
Donut shop, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was what the heck was the name of it? Donut Crazy. That was it. Donut Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually approved, but then for whatever reason they never went beyond that.
Okay.
But as far as the basic configuration goes, it's all been conceptually approved.
Okay.
And the parking and all has all been based on these square footages and the like.
Okay. One last point I just wanted to give everybody here a quick heads up about, and this happened very, very, very quickly with no notice, was regarding the budget. I think we had literally maybe a day's notice to put our numbers together and get them in. And with almost no notice, I was called in front of the Board of Finance last week to actually defend, because there were some cuts that were made to our particular budget on the legal side, which, I talked to them about, my concerns regarding that. They seem to be well received. So that's probably the biggest impact in terms of a number standpoint. But I just wanted to let you know that this conversation kind of happened very, very quickly with almost no notice. There was no notification that went out to the department saying that budgets were due. It was with, I was really surprised to find it happening within a day or two. So Jessica and I worked together to kind of pull the numbers together, put our justifications in, put our proposals in. Like I said, we had a ding on the legal side, and I argued that pretty vocally, that, the dangers in terms of doing that. I think it was well received. We'll see what the numbers, come back with after the approvals, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up.
Well, either way,
Thank you.
thanks for your efforts. I mean, with the amount of notice you had still, I think, hopefully things will turn out all right. And I know we all appreciate your efforts there.
Yep, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate hearing that. All right. If there's nothing else, it's 8:51 and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. I hope everybody has a great night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you. You too.
Good night,
all.
everybody. Great meeting.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Jess.
All right. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, we will. Hey, Jess, thanks for dropping the packet off. I appreciate it. I've been so out of touch the last week with others crap. I never really, I didn't even get a chance to say thank you today for dropping that off. So I appreciate it.
Thank my husband. He did it. He did it today.
How's he doing?
Tell him we said thanks.
He's good. He's
Good.
good. All right. All right, guys. Have a good
Bye,
night.
all. Good night, all. See you in a couple weeks.
All right.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care, everybody. Good night. 3 weeks.
3. I got time to catch up on minutes.
This is the 3-week gap for the next one. So enjoy the break. All
All right. Bye.
right. Bye-bye. Where's my,
Oops.